Hey, this is Craig the Pool Man with Pool Specialists, and we are here on location today to demonstrate how to program an IntelliFlo VSF pump for what I refer to as manual mode. This is for when it's not hooked up to automation. And this is really important. Even if you do have this pump hooked up to automation, you really need to program the manual mode, because if the automation fails, then the manual mode will take over, or if you have to put it into something of the sorts of timeout mode or service mode, then you want this pump to automatically take over. All right, the first thing you're going to need to do is remove the communication cable. And you may actually have to go and flip the circuit breaker off for the pump and then turn it back on. And then we'll be into manual mode. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is hit the menu button. And then, of course, I am in settings. I can select that. And it's going to then ask me for my time and date. So I will select that. And now, all of a sudden, we put the date. Okay, select it. And we can come in and page over. We're actually in October. And the date is the 13th of 2020. So once we have that, we will go ahead and hit the save button. Then we can come down and we can set the time. And the time right now, according to your phone, is 3:21 p.m. So we'll select and we'll come over. We'll take that to 21 and then come over, and we're going to have to go around the whole clock in order to make it 3 p.m. Once we hit that, then we're going to save it. We can then come down and page down. It's setting for AM, PM. Of course, that's the default, so we just leave that, and we're back to it. So we'll go back one, go back another, and now we can come down to the programs. We're going to select that, and we're going to select program number 1. If you are setting it up to run on automation, then the best thing to do is set this up for manual mode. If you were setting it up to run by itself, you would actually set this up for schedule. And then the schedule, you would set this one up to run at your low speed, and typically on a pool spa combination, that's going to be about 1800 RPMs. And you would set it to run from 6 a.m. to 5:59 a.m. However, we don't have to worry about that, so we're going to leave this in manual mode. So we will save that, then we will go down, we're going to select the speed, and we want speed. We could do flow or speed. I tend to like speed just because I'm used to it, but flow is very useful when you're trying to balance out your system. So we're going to save that, come down, and this says 750 RPMs. Well, I would like to change that. I tend to think about 1750 or even 1800 RPMs. And you're going to need this much to actually allow the check valves to open, and also make sure that the flow switch in your salt cell is activated and turns green. Typically it takes about 1600 RPMs to make that flow switch turn green. And so you want to have a little bit of buffer so that when the filter gets dirty, that your salt system says, oh, well, I don't have any flow. So with 1800 RPM, so then we're going to save that. And once we save that, we're back to the beginning. We're going to go back one, and now we're going to go down to program 2. I select program 2, and that's manual mode as well. And typically, I'm going to come down and select the speed to be about 2200 RPMs. So we'll save that. Then we're going to go back again. We're going to come down to program 3. Now this is where I'm going to do something different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and select that. I'm going to come down and I'm going to set it up on a schedule. So I'll save that. I'll come down. Again, I want speed, and I'm going to set this to 2800 RPMs. This is a pool spa combo, and so therefore what I want to do is make sure that I have enough flow for spillovers and things of that nature. So that's my preference for the speed on this. So I'll save my 2800 RPMs, and then I'll come down, and here again, like I had said on speed 1, we're going to go ahead and set this schedule for a start time of 6 a.m. Once we have that, we're going to save it, come down, and the stop time is going to be 5:59 a.m. And so what this does is this allows it to run for effectively 24 hours. It actually won't shut off for the minute. And so you're going to run this pump 24/7. Why am I doing this? If the power fails or the automation fails and this goes into manual mode, then I'm going to be running my pump 24/7 at 2800 RPMs. And so it's just going to run normal. If I was setting this up to run in independent mode where I don't have an automation, then speed number 2 I would typically set to about 2800, and I would set it for a schedule for 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I would take speed 3 and set that on a schedule, and again I would set that to 2800 RPMs, but I would make it run from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, if you remember, if I'm in total manual mode and I don't have automation, I have speed 1 running at 24 hours. Well, what happens is the pump will give priority to the higher speeds. So the higher speed will override it. So even though pump speed 1 says I'm running at 1800, when you come into speed 2 at 6 a.m., well, it says, we're going to run at 2800. And then after 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., it goes back down to the 1800. Then at 6 p.m., we're going to come back up to the 2800. And we're going to run that for a couple hours. And then after that's over at 9 p.m., then it goes back down to the 1800. So I'm clearing off the pool in the morning, and I'm clearing off the pool in the evening, and the rest of the time I'm just looking to get some flow in the pool and make sure that my salt cell is producing salt. So it's going to really cut down on your cost of chlorine, and it will run very effectively. 1800 RPMs with this pump is equivalent to about a 60-watt light bulb, just to let you know. But getting back to where we were, we've got speed 3 programmed to run 2800 RPMs, and that is going to run 24/7. And we're going to save that. Now speed number 4 is our last one. So we'll come back. We're coming down to speed number 4, and we'll select that, and we are going to set this for manual mode. And a lot of people, I'm sorry, select that, come down, go to manual mode and save it. A lot of people will set this up on an egg timer and they'll set it up for like 3 minutes or 5 minutes so that they can use this as a backwash. So if you're worried about that, well, then great. I would prefer not to do that, because if one of my service guys comes out and hits that number 4 button and goes away and forgets that he had the pool in filter mode, well, the next morning when we come into manual mode, this thing's going to be pumping everything out the backwash line. So that's why I tend to like to leave it on. So I have it set for manual mode. I'm going to come down, keep it at speed, and you really don't need 3,100 RPMs for most of these systems. If you have a huge filter like a TR140, great, go ahead and run it. But the reality is, you know, if you have a TR100, then 2,800 RPMs is about as much as it can take. So I will select that, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to set this again to 2,800 RPMs. And I'll save that. And so now I've got it programmed. If I go back, I actually have more programs that I could put in. So if you would like to set up a whole bunch of schedules, you could use program 5, program 6, program 7, and program 8. Now, they don't have buttons for them, but if you set them up on schedules, it doesn't really matter. It works just fine. So we're going to back out to the original. And one of the things I will point out, and I pointed this out in an earlier video, is if you come into settings, date, time, min, max, device. Well, this is set up as device 1. And if you only have one IntelliFlo pump, then great. Don't bother changing this, because when you set it up in your automation, you can set it up for pump 1. However, if you have multiple pumps, you could set this up for 1, you could set another pump up for 2, 3, 4, etc. And that way your automation system knows what pumps to address. So we're coming back here, and my pump is now programmed up. If I want to start it on the schedule, or if I want to start it for speed, I can hit that speed. So I hit it, and then I go to start, and it'll go to that speed. I can switch it over to 2, I can switch it over to 3, etc. But now, if I really want it to run the program, I don't select anything, and then I just hit the start button. And because 3 is the active program, it's going to go to 3. And it's going to turn and it's going to run on speed 3. If I had speed 1 set up for the program, it may go to 1, it may go to 2, it may go to 3. It depends on what the time is. So that is how you program this pump up in manual mode. And it is very important when you install this pump to go ahead and set up the manual mode, because if the automation fails, you want the pump to take over. And in the winter time, if your automation fails and it's freezing out, you have just destroyed all of your equipment. So that's why this is super important when you install one of these pumps to actually do it. Well, thank you for watching our video. I hope you found it educational. If you enjoyed it, please drop us a like and subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.